We're recording the taste test. Oh, it's okay. It's not bad. I was worried that it was going to be a little helium-y. Yeah, I'm joined with Catherine, as always. Catherine is coughing a little bit.
And I want to apologize right away.
She wants to apologize right away. I'm going to put my headphones on my left ear so that the mic is closer to her. Let me take off my, oh, we have like a whole wardrobe change that needs to happen. All right. All right, we're letting people join. Again, we'll give it a minute. I was actually told after last Achilles Connect Zoom session that a large number of people actually just Zoom in from work and keep the phone in the pocket, have an AirPod in and just kind of listen along, which I thought was pretty cool. All right, we'll give it another 30 seconds. Stay hydrated, folks.
Erin is recommending you drink water because it's too humid.
We're going to talk about heat. Those are the two questions that were emailed in since last Achilles Connect Zoom. We had two really awesome questions. We're going to go into that here in a bit. But yeah, I should drink water. I just drank a bottle of water. So I am hydrated with water as well as coffee. Thanks, Erin. Is that Mondello, Erin?
All it says is Erin.
Oh, okay. I'm going to think that's all right. I don't know. That's a Mondello thing to say. So if you're not Erin,
she said thumbs up. Yes, it's Erin Mondello.
Okay, all right. All right. Yeah, so as usual, we are going to do some updates, and then we're going to address those two questions specifically about heat training. One's about the use of heat therapy, sauna, steam room, stuff like that. Does that have a place in your athletic performance journey? And if so, what does that look like? And then the second question has to do with adjusting your calorie intake during training and racing. So like how many gels you take based on the heat. So if it's hot out, do you take more gels, you take less gels, all that stuff. We're going to get into that. First thing, again, that's Catherine coughing. It's not me, folks. It's not me. Don't stay away. All right. We're going to talk some updates, like I said. First thing, in case y'all didn't realize, all of Achilles Nation seems to be aware that we have our annual Hope and Possibility 4-mile race in Central Park on June 23rd. Everyone's really excited. I would hope that everyone on this call is registered. If you're not, I wonder why you're not registered. If you're an athlete, you need to get with us sooner rather than later so that we can get you registered. And if you're a guide interested in guiding, then hit up the race calendar on your Achilles dashboard on Rosterify, select Hope and Possibility, and we will contact you if there is an athlete that is in need of a guide. So that's how that works. And that's, by the way, how a lot of the race opportunities work at Achilles, where if you don't meet an athlete at a workout, right, which is how we prefer you to meet athletes, just at workouts, training, racing, vibing with each other. If that's not how you meet your athlete, then meeting them, let me pull this down real quick. There we go. Yep, meeting them through that race calendar is kind of the second here. Margaret, for those who don't know, Margaret and Casey make up our comms team at Achilles International. You probably have seen one or both of them taking photos at workouts, posting up things, basically being the presence of Achilles on all things digital. Margaret asked me to point out that the RSVP for the panel, the live panel associated with Hope and Possibility is now live. All of you will be getting an email about it shortly. It's an Eventbrite link. It's hosted at the Run Center, the New York Roadrunners Run Center. It features a Paralympic gold medalist, a retired Sergeant Major. I don't know if I'm allowed to say who they are yet, so I'm not going to say who they are, but they're both Achilles folks, real deep Achilles. And they're going to be talking about their journeys and resilience and hope and possibility and all those things on Thursday, June 20th. That evening at the Run Center. I'm going to be there. I'm really excited to sit in the audience and kind of imbibe and absorb what they have to say.
Usually make you talk.
Yeah, you're welcome for everyone that I will not be the one talking. You'll actually have professional, well-spoken people talking at this panel. So yeah, very excited for that. The other thing is we're really trying to encourage people, athletes, guides, supporters, everyone to gather at the bandshell after Hope and Possibility. So, right, we normally run, we do the 4-miler, we end around Tavern on the Green. and then people kind of meander off, right? Some people go home, some people go out and hang out with friends, whatever. We're really trying to encourage everyone to come and gather at the band shell where we have awards. We're going to have a DJ. There's going to be some booths set up by, a few of our partners. It's going to be kind of a party scene. It's going to be great. So yeah, encourage everyone to go to the band shell. If you don't know where that is, that's totally fine. We're going to, put out some memos on how to find it. And plus, if everyone actually goes to the band shell, you can just follow the Achilles neon yellow crowd that'll be traveling from the finish line to the band shell. I'm personally really excited for Open Possibility. I think it was my first ever race in my life because I joined Achilles back in April of 2017 and did the Hope and Possibility race 2 months after that in June of 2017. And that was my first ever race. And I didn't know what a corral was. I didn't know what, the finish line and starting line felt like in terms of like stepping over this rubber thing that's in the road that isn't normally in the road. Like that was my first time feeling that. So yeah, it's very special. We're going to have a lot of new first-time athletes participating. One person that I will highlight, her name's actually Maya. She comes from the blind music school that some of our athletes also come from. And they're the ones actually singing the national anthem at the start of Hope and Possibility. And so she's going to jump off the stage after singing the anthem, and she's going to run the 4 miles with us. And so that's something that's pretty cool. That's the main stuff for updates. Anything I'm missing, Catherine?
I think if anyone is not yet registered, it's June 12th. That is the deadline that we need to have everyone registered. So if you're listening to this and you're not registered, just talk to Francesco or me and we'll help get you signed up.
Yep, nyc@achillesinternational.org. That is your email address that you can use for all things if you ever need, anything or questions. But yeah, June 12th. I did not know about that deadline, so that's good to know. Asking for a friend. Yeah, so we're gonna get that wrapped up. Is that about it?
That's about it.
All right, cool. So again, as always, if you have questions that pop up about training, racing, whatever, you can ask it in the Q&A that happens at the end of all of these Achilles Connect sessions. But you can also email them in if they pop into your head and you're worried about forgetting them between now and the next session. So these 2 questions were 2 questions that were emailed in and that I thought were, interesting and applicable to most, if not all people, and I thought was worth diving into. So Catherine's going to read the first question and then we're going to get into it.
Okay.
Yeah.
How do I use heat therapy like a sauna or steam room to aid in athletic performance? I've tried going in the sauna for 45 minutes to an hour at 140 degrees and I found it decreased my performance. What am I doing wrong?
All right. Awesome question. So yeah, so for those who don't know, or those who haven't heard of it, heat therapy is basically getting yourself into some environments that are really, really hot, right? So for a lot of us, most of us who don't do like steam room or sauna, it's just being outdoors in the summer, right? It's really hot. We notice that the same 4-mile loop that we normally do feels a lot harder just because of the heat. But here we're talking like targeted, intentional heat therapy. I would say, so starting off, heat therapy, right? Heat in general is a stress on the body. And so the protocol that you use to implement heat therapy needs to be really, really specific. Otherwise, you're going to do more harm than good. Because again, a stress is a stress, right? Whether you go out and run 20 miles or you I don't know, do a bunch of occlusion therapy or you do sauna for an hour, like it's all sort of registered as stress on the body. And so if you overstress your body and you don't give it time to recover and adapt, then you're not going in the right direction of adaptation and improvement. And so, at that point, it just becomes extra stress without you actually reaping the benefits of the heat therapy. So first, let's just talk real quick for those who don't know about what the benefits can be if you correctly do heat therapy. Probably the main benefit that people highlight is the increase in blood plasma volume, right? And so what that basically means is you increase your blood plasma volume, therefore, given no other bottlenecks in your physiology, increased blood plasma volume will equate to you being able to carry more oxygen in your blood, therefore being able to deliver more oxygen to your muscles, therefore, hopefully resulting in greater athletic performance. Think some people refer to it as like, legal doping, right? Because a lot of performance enhancing doping kind of involves artificially increasing your blood plasma volume and whatnot. So this is like a really natural, really obviously, legal way to do that, similar result. It's also used in altitude acclimation or altitude training. So that increased oxygen can aid in your ability to adapt to higher altitude. If you're, say, like you normally live, say we're in New York City, right? We're very low in altitude. If you have an event in Colorado and you're going to go up, 7,000, 8,000 feet, one thing you can do is use sauna or steam room to help in that adaptation, so that when you go up to altitude, it's not that big of a hit. And then finally, it's through thermoregulated effects. And what that basically means is, right, you're training really cold, right? It's not now, but say this is back in January, February, right? New York City is really cold. Your sweat efficiency, your sweat rate, things like that might not be adapted to hot environments, right? Because we're used to running in the cold and, it's dreary outside. And our sweat rate is obviously lower because it's colder outside. So then if you were to fly to Miami and race a half marathon, your body will feel that half a lot harder. A lot of us experienced that this year with Boston Marathon, it being, unseasonably warm. In the grand scheme of things, it might not be so warm or so hot, but because your body's not used to it, it'll hit your body a lot harder than it normally would. So that's called thermoregulation. And so getting your body used to dealing with that heat before you get into that environment can be helpful. Okay, so this person who emailed in, you say they do 45 to 60 minutes at a time at 140 degrees, which if you don't know the temperature of your sauna at your gym or something, 140 it's hot, but it's not like scorchingly hot. It's still hot, right? You're feeling it, but it's not scorching hot. Initially, I'm going to say that 45 to 60 minutes is way too long. That's a really long time to sit in a sauna and it not be super hot. So generally speaking, and obviously like everyone's mileage may vary, right? Like this isn't one size fits all, but generally speaking, what most, athletically leaning coaches or science, people will say is 30 minutes at or as close to 160 degrees as you can bear it. And so if you've never done sauna before, right? Say like you always go work out in the gym, but you always see the sauna in your locker room, but you never really go in there because it's like, I don't know what's all about that heat. Like, I don't know if I'm going to go in there. So if you've never tried it, obviously like you'll probably last maybe 5 minutes, which is totally fine. You got to build up to it, but eventually you'll get to 30 minutes, 25, 30 minutes, let's say, at 160 degrees. That's 160 Fahrenheit, or as close to it as you can bear. And you have to treat it just like you would treat any other stressor on the body. So doing hard track intervals is a stress on the body, right? How do we use track intervals to make us faster when running? You introduce the stress to your body, but then you have to give it time to recover and adapt to that stress. So if you do, hard track intervals every day of the week for weeks on end, you're not going to get any faster, right? Because you're getting that stressor part good, but you're not giving your body time to adapt. And so similar with sauna, if people always hit the sauna, but they don't actually give their body time to adapt to it, you're not actually going to benefit as much from it as you otherwise would. So the proposed protocol, and again, it's not an algorithm, right? There's a difference between an algorithm and a protocol in terms of, this type of physiological implementations. Protocol means you follow this thing without deviation. Algorithm means, you're following these things, but there's a lot of if-then statements kind of involved in that. The protocol is, say you have an A race or a big event that you're training for, and it's going to be in the heat. About 14 days out from that event, you start introducing daily sauna or daily heat therapy. But then you stop that about 7 days out from your event. And so when you stop it, that 7 days between, the time that you stop it and between that and your race, that's when your body will recover and sort of adapt from all of that heat stimulus. That's the main idea. One other thing, so this is a little more, not controversial, but some people do this, some people don't. Again, experiment with it. Your mileage may vary. Some people don't rehydrate, as in they don't drink water while they're in the sauna. But if you do that, don't forget, you have to make sure then you rehydrate when you get out, right? So it won't be so helpful if you basically let that lead to dehydration the entire day. So if you're going to choose to not rehydrate while you're in the actual sauna, you have to make sure to kind of overcompensate and really rehydrate once you get out of the sauna. The last thing I'll say is I would not do this type of heat therapy before an intense workout, even the day before. Ideally, you would do it right after an intense workout. That way your body can kind of, recover from it and not hit a hard workout immediately after. So that's the kind of crash course on heat therapy. Any questions?
So first of all, this might seem like it's plugged, but I'm always impressed with how smart you are, Francis. Like that.
I'm paying her money to say that.
Beautiful. Okay, so just to understand it, so you were saying that 30 minutes is ideal, but some people can only do 5 minutes. So for that suggestion of like, if you're going to the Miami Marathon, it's the middle of the winter, if it's someone who's never used a sauna before, should they still start that 2 weeks before the race and just do 5 minutes? Or what would it look like for someone changing extremes and wanting to add this into their routine?
Yeah, that's an awesome question. So if you're not used to heat therapy in general, I would not introduce it for the first time right before a race, because you might find out your body completely hates it and does not react well for it. And a week out of a marathon is not the time to figure that out, right? So even like months ahead of time, I would just inject a couple minutes of sauna here and there. I mean, we're talking about the athletic performance benefits of sauna, right? But there is just life overall health benefits to heat therapy of doing it, once a week or twice a week or something. It's less of a performance enhancing therapy. It's more of a just like lifestyle thing. So if you're not used to doing sauna, I would 100% do once a week, twice a week. Not difficult, right? Like chill sauna sessions, if that makes sense, just to kind of get used to it. And then that, when you're really ready to do the actual protocol of heat therapy for a performance, then that's when I would do the 7 days, every day, get in the sauna, 14 days out of a race. And then the week of the race, you kind of recover from that.
Okay, so how would you incorporate this into marathon or long distance training if you don't have that week of recovery time?
If you don't have the week of recovery, I mean, I'd make the recovery time, unless you're saying your race is like tomorrow and then you don't have the time. What do you think, Kat?
I think maybe they're mentioning that like they still run kind of that week before a marathon.
Oh, okay. When I say recovery
Because the
time,
long distance is weekly.
when I say recovery time of the heat therapy, I'm talking recovery from the stressor of the heat specifically. So, typical marathon training plan, right? You do your longest run, what is that, 3 weeks out, then say like 20 miles, and then 2 weeks out, you do like 15. The week before, you do like 10, and then you do the race, right? Just very roughly. So that last week, you're still obviously running and training. You would just not do any sort of sauna that week to let your body recover and adapt. More importantly, adapt from the sauna stimulus that you introduced 14 days out through 7 days out. That makes sense.
Okay.
Cool.
Cool.
All right, let's do it. Let's hit the second question. And then don't forget, you can also ask your own questions in the chat, type them out, and we'll answer a few when we're done with this section.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do warmer temperatures mean I need to fuel with more gels since it feels like I'm working harder in the heat?
That's a really good question. So this is the theory behind the question, which I totally understand, is because my RPE, right? Now, RPE, as we've discussed in past sessions, means rate of perceived exertion. It means how hard you feel like you're working. Because that rate of perceived exertion is getting higher, therefore, I must be working harder muscularly. Therefore, I must need to fuel more to fuel that extra work, right? So logically, that's sort of how it's reasoned out. It's not necessarily the case all the time, and it's not really the case this time. We're going to get into that. So the research is, so there's a lot of different bodies of research in physiology, right? A lot of pro teams sponsor kind of their own research into this and then hold that information kind of secret, right? So that those teams are more like competitive against other teams. Yet a lot of pro teams will actually publish the research that they fund just for the wider athletic community, right? So like you kind of have both sides of it. So I kind of got interested in this a few years ago when I started doing longer and longer races. I started like doing more research into it just to like figure out what I should do personally, before I even started telling other people. There's Bora Hansgrohe, which is a pro cycling team on the World Tour. They ride the Tour de France. They are Tadej Pogačar is not on the team, but the guy who is their head nutrition coach on Bora Hansgrohe is Slovenian, and so is connected with Tadej Pogačar. For those who don't follow the cycling world, Tadej Pogačar is like, I don't know, he's like, what's an example? He's like the top cyclist. Okay. So he's like he's the the A-Rod of the cycling world, I guess. That dates me. But so he's sort of he's the Michael Jordan of the cycling world, like currently. Epic cyclist. But anyway, this guy has spearheaded a lot of the research in heat therapies and specifically how fueling relates to that. And so it's just interesting to kind of go through it. So the theory, right, is when you're really hot outside or anywhere, when you're really hot, a lot of the blood in your system kind of goes to the surface of your skin, right? Your skin temperature rises because your core temperature is also elevated. And the way your body cools itself off is trying to move the heat from your core temp outwards, right? That's like the theory behind sweating. The reason why we sweat, right, is to try to get that heat from our core temp outwards and then kind of evaporate into the air from our skin. That's like a very oversimplified way to, describe it. Just so, to throw out some numbers, if we're just chilling, right, our skin temp generally sits around, say, like 32 degrees Celsius. If we're training and it's like ideal training, right, like there's a fan on us, the AC's blasting, it's like crispy, then that skin temp can drop to, let's say, 28 degrees Celsius, but our internal temperature, our core temp will go up to like 38, 39 degrees. So it's this wide differential of temperature, and this is all relevant to fueling. So I'm going to get to fueling, but there's this wide differential of temperature, right? Between on the inside, our core temp is, say, 39 degrees Celsius, but on our skin, if you measure a skin temp, it's like 28 degrees because the body creates this differential to get the heat from our inside outside and try to cool us off. Now, if we're not in ideal temps, therefore, summertime, it's hot outside, we're racing, the sun's on us, we're getting really hot, that internal temp stays the same. It stays like 39 degrees, but our skin temperature is not down to 28. It goes up to 36, 37, whatever it is, right? Just throwing out some arbitrary numbers. And so that's when you start feeling really, really hot. It's because your body isn't able to cool off as efficiently. Now, what is essential in digesting carbs, right? It's blood in our digestive system, in our GI, right? So if we're not able to have blood to digest the carbs that we ingest, that leads to GI distress, and that equates to, not a happy time training or racing. And so the theory goes that the hotter it is outside, therefore the hotter your skin temp is, meaning the more blood gets drawn to the surface of your skin, the less carbs you're able to absorb because there's less blood near your digestive system to absorb the blood and break down the fuel and do all that. So this is still like, the latest paper that was published on this was literally like 4 months ago. So this is very much still like in the science. It was in fashion up until 5, 6, 7 years ago, let's say, to lower the amount of carbs an athlete would take per hour, right? Like high carb fueling, being high carb anything is kind of a recent thing in terms of athletic performance world, 5, 6, 7, 8 years, recent. So a lot of the science is still coming out. A lot of people are still trying to figure out what the exact like perfect point is. But yes, it is basically affirmed that when you're really hot, you can absorb less carbs. And so, we did this kind of caloric deep dive. I think it was in the March Achilles Connect session where we figured out like, okay, most gels will tell you to take one gel every 45 minutes. Most gels have 25 grams of carbs in it. Therefore, that's back of the napkin math, right? Like roughly 35 to 40 grams of carbs per hour that these, GU and Power Gel and Morton and all these people are trying to tell us to take, right? On average. And so a lot of athletes still, let's say on the low end, it's 35 to 40 grams of carbs an hour. A lot of athletes will take up to 80, 100, 120 grams of carbs per hour. Whatever that number is that you figure out for yourself, and if you're interested in doing a revisit on that, let me know. But whatever that number is for yourself, you need to sort of have a number for ideal conditions, therefore like winter training or indoor training when you're able to control the temperature. And you need another number for your outdoor conditions when it's really hot. Because just for me, for example, right, let's say I take 90 grams of carbs per hour when I'm on the bike. This is ideal temperatures, right? Cold, crispy, fans on me, all that. If I'm outside and it's really hot, it's like 100 degrees and I'm, really, really heated, that number might drop to say 75 an hour. And it's important to know that because the last thing you want is to overtax your system with carbs that it cannot digest. And then you have GI distress. One last thing, and then you can go in questions, is that's one reason why some people, when they start their fall marathon season, right? A lot of the fall marathons are October and November. That means that people are starting their fall marathon training in July, which is the midst of the heat. And a lot of people will try gels and they'll feel really ill taking those gels. My phone's talking to me. No, it's okay. Okay. They'll feel really ill taking those gels, and they feel ill because of that blood differential. It's not because the gel is really bad for them or that it's too much just in general. They're not taking into account the heat, if that makes sense. So go for it.
Okay. First important question. Can you eat ice cream in the sauna?
Can you eat ice cream in the sauna? If you have your own sauna, if you have like a clear light that's on, so they've been marketing to a lot of podcasts lately. If you have your own sauna, step one, you need to invite me to it because why haven't you already invited me? But two, I guess you can eat. I feel like if you eat ice cream in a sauna, you're kind of taken away from existing in the heat. You're not supposed to alleviate the stress. You got to dwell in the stress.
Got it. Okay.
No ice cream.
Does the type of sauna matter? Meaning the source of the 160-degree Fahrenheit heat? They give the example of a Finnish coal sauna or an infrared sauna. Yeah,
so infrared is ideal. And what is most studied is the infrared saunas. So if you read most research papers, it studies the effect of infrared sauna, and they'll specifically call that out because you're right, the temperature does kind of feel different. Infrared sauna is known to raise your core temperature as high, not as high as possible, but higher than the perceived heat, which means you're able to get a lot more of the benefit of the heat without necessarily feeling as hot. I mean, you'll still feel really hot, but we're talking in comparison, right? A really good comparison, if people just want to tell the difference, is if you compare any sauna with a steam room. Because you get into a steam room, it might be 20, 30 degrees colder than a sauna, but it might feel hotter because that moisture is sitting on your skin and you're going to feel really, really hot and like uncomfortable a lot sooner than you might in a sauna at the same temperature. Yeah.
Okay. What about a race that's kind of the opposite? So you talk about figuring out how to train your body if you're going to do a race where somewhere it's really warm. What if it's the summer and you're traveling somewhere cold? Like, do you need to do anything different, or is it just adjusting to the heat when you get there, the temperature?
So you don't need the thermoregulation, right? Because you're going from hot to cold, your sweat rate isn't an issue. It's already efficient and optimized. So you don't really need it for those benefits. The only time you would need it, I'd say, is one, if you're going higher in altitude, then that might be helpful because you're getting greater blood plasma volume, right? So if you're going to a higher altitude, that might be helpful. Second, you might just get an athletic performance boost from that from the greater blood plasma volume, as in, right, greater oxygen delivery. So, but because it's less of a benefit, you need to weigh the benefit that you get from the heat therapy with what's the opportunity cost, right? Because I'm doing daily, really intense sauna sessions or heat therapy sessions, am I sacrificing my training, right? If you're training, let's say 10% less, that second week before your event, are the gains that you're missing out from that greater than the benefit that you get from the heat therapy, right? So you're gonna have to figure that out too. Some people, like one of my main racing guides does not do well in the heat at all, like really bad. And he chose to tell me this mid-race. It was like July in Idaho, and it was like 115 degrees. And he was like, by the way, did you know I don't really do well in the heat? Like, oh, great. Thank you for telling me this now. But someone like that, right, he would greatly benefit from this sort of heat therapy, because even if it's a small benefit, it still would make a bigger difference for him. So I think the answer is it depends on your situation and what the opportunity cost is.
How do you feel about sauna reps?
Sauna reps? Oh, like, I'm assuming you mean like contrast, as in hot and cold, hot and cold, hot and cold.
No, I think the
No?
person sent a picture and it's like this like blanket sauna thing.
Oh,
The visual was important, right?
it's okay. So I've never tried a sauna blanket. I would say, one, make sure you're not being like radiated, because a lot of the lower end sauna blankets that are on the market, they either don't publish a EMF, like, what is it? Is it EMF? It's basically the rate at which you're basically radiating yourself, because it's not shielded from the electric like circuit. So I would just check on that. Just make sure you're not radiating yourself. But beyond that, again, the goal is your core temperature. So if you really want to know, you get yourself a thermometer. And by the by, the most accurate thermometers that are used in research studies are rectal thermometers, just saying. But so if you really want to tell for yourself, then one, make sure you're not radiating yourself. Two, get yourself a thermometer and test your core body temp while you're in that. And if it's high enough to get efficacy, then you're set.
All right, let's talk a little more about GI issues.
I love talking about GI issues.
How do you prevent GI issues when training for long runs and ultras? Even with training my gut for a year now, my stomach is still sensitive. Tested all types of gels, crackers, liquid carbs, etc. And it might be, and this might be related, or you can tell me to ask you separately. Yeah. How can I learn what my carb needs are?
Interesting. Okay, so first thing I would say, which it sounds like you're already doing, but just, for everyone, is that testing of different types of carbs, right? Like, for me personally, there's only so many gels I can take before my body's just like, no, there's no more gels. We will not be accepting anymore. Thank you very much. Like, it is not like gels. So definitely test out different kinds. And what people don't really think about, right, is there are different forms of the same medium. And what I mean by that is, you could have a goo gel, a Morton gel, an SIS gel, things like that. But then there's different calorie delivery vehicles, as you might call it. So you might have a gel, you might have a drink mix, which is carb powder that you shake up in a bottle. You might have more solid things, right? And so the length of your race, the length of your training session might dictate what is available to you. But I find, like, when I did my ultra last year, it was, 3 days of 11, 12 hours. It was 90% of the calories came from drinking carb mix. I had just had goo octane and Morton powders that you like shake up in a bottle, and that was it. And that, my gut was really happy with that. If I had even half that amount of calories in gel form, it would not have worked out. So I'd say mess with the different, brands, obviously, but then also try carb mix, drinking that, more solid stuff like chews, gels is also key. And just trying all of those. I find that the easiest to digest is that drink mix. Also mess with caffeine. Some people don't realize, I'm sure you do, but just again, saying it for everyone, that some of those products have caffeine in it. And if you train for 5, 6, 7, 8, 10, whatever hours or race for that long, and all you're taking are caffeine products, like you're certainly going to have GI distress. I would say to conduct any sort of study, right? You want to eliminate as many variables as possible. I would avoid taking caffeine, period, if you're trying to figure out what product works for you. Because you don't, if you're consuming some caffeine, you don't know if it's the type of caffeine that it's used, how it's implemented, the dosages. You just don't want to, you want to control for caffeine. Therefore, I would exclude caffeine from your product search just until you figure out like what product works for you. Yeah, I think that's the main stuff. And again, in terms of the amount that you consume, again, when it's really hot outside and when summertime, you're going to be able to consume less of it, right? So if you're going to start testing out products now and it's getting hot out, keep that in mind. Maybe don't start on the higher dosage side. Start with 40, 50 grams an hour, and then you can work your way up from there. Oh, and make sure you're hydrating enough. A lot of gel, or a lot of people who take gel, they don't realize that there's a certain amount, and it's kind of different per product, but there's an amount of liquid that is required per gel that you take. Otherwise, your body is basically pulling hydration from like inside of you to be able to digest that gel. So just make sure you're drinking enough as well.
So this is a question from me. I don't know if I'm allowed to have questions.
I don't know if you're allowed to have questions, Catherine.
But you mentioned trying out different gels.
Uh-huh.
What I see and feel is that it's expensive.
Yeah.
Have you seen any options or any ways to try different things? Or is it kind of like you have to buy a package of 30 of something to try it out?
So running stores are great because you can buy single packs of things, right? I would not order a 10 pack of gels from some sort of, supplement company's website until you know that you're able to digest it. Expos are cool. Even if you're not running the race, you can oftentimes visit a race expo because all the nutrition companies are set up, right? And a lot of them will even have samples that you can try. So for example, actually, I'm not sure if you need a bib to do like New York City Marathon Expo, for example, but
you do.
You do, really?
Really strict.
Okay, or you can go with a friend, no?
No.
All right, I don't know. Never mind. Don't listen to me, but yeah.
You get it the back way because you work.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. Yeah, I would say anytime you're able to try like one of something, if you're gonna, so if I'm trying to find a gel for myself, the way I would do it is I would buy 3 gels of several different companies. Because let's say I have a 15-mile run coming up, right? It's not really helpful in terms of testing if I have, a Goo brand gel at mile 5, a Morton at mile 10, and a power gel product before I start. Because that's 3 different products now that I'm combining in the same run. If I feel crappy, if I feel bad at mile 13, was it the gel that I took at mile 10, or maybe it was a gel I took at 5 and it just took that long to catch up with me, right? So I wouldn't mix products in one workout. I would buy enough to get you through one workout with just that product, and then spend, a couple weeks or even a month or 2 of worth of training to figure out which product works for you. This is why it's important to start that process now if you have a fall marathon and not start it in September, October, because now you got loads of time, right? You got plenty of time to try out everything. There's no stress. If this is like 2 weeks before the marathon and you don't know what kind of gel to use, it's a little harder and a little more stressful.
Okay.
Yeah.
Next question kind of shifts gears.
Cool. Let's shift.
Let's shift it back to hope and possibility,
Cool.
our favorite day. Someone wants to know if there will be anyone available to take care of dogs, or if they should make plans on their own.
No, we will. So we'll have an Achilles booth at the band shell, and that is where people can leave any sort of mobility device, canes. Like for me, obviously I'm going to have my cane with me, I want to leave it at the Achilles booth. If you give us a heads up ahead of time, it's no problem at all. We've watched dogs there in the past, and we'll obviously do the same this year.
Great.
Yeah.
Michael's saying the NYC Expo is actually public. I know there's a long line to get in, so that's why I assumed you needed a bit, but he would definitely know better than I do, because I go in the same side as
Yeah.
we work
I
at.
feel like it's,
So.
yeah, I feel like most, if not all of those races are public. I really like multi-sport expos because I feel like the booths are more fun. Specifically thinking of Athletic Brewing Company with Ironman, any Ironman event you go to, I shouldn't say any, many of them are sponsored by Athletic Brewing Company, and they just hand out cans of Athletic Brewing, and I'm a big fan of AB.
Not sponsored.
Not sponsored, not sponsored.
Okay, so this is always my favorite. We have someone who's a new Achilles member in Long Island. What is her first best steps? Should she join a weekend workout or should she sign up for a race?
If you're
Her
new,
name is Robin. Just greet
Robin, what's up?
name.
How's it going, Robin? Yeah, I would say the bread and butter, as long as you're not lactose or gluten free or whatever. I don't know. I'm trying to mix references. Anyway, the yeah. Me making Catherine laugh is making her cough more. So sorry, not sorry. The Achilles workout is like the main stage of what Achilles does, right? I feel like everything extends off of the Achilles workout. Where do you find people to race with? At the workout, right? But how do you hear about events? At the workout. I think everything kind of stems from the workout. So I would definitely say for anyone, go to the workout because that's just kind of where you meet people and have a good time and build community. Yeah.
I'm also sending her their email address. Send them a message. Okay, so we've got some people who are curious about something you had said earlier. You mentioned signing up as a guide still for Hope and Possibility. Yep. How exactly would that work right now?
Okay, so if you're a guide and you want to guide Hope and Possibility, regardless of if you have your own bib, on Rosterify, there's a thing called the race calendar, and that's a list of all of the upcoming races and events and things that we have going on. One of those races is Hope and Possibility. So if you're a guide, you just need to log into your Rosterify profile and just check off the Hope and Possibility box on your race calendar. And that'll notify us. We'll basically be able to pull up a spreadsheet of all the guides who are available and willing to guide. Therefore, say an athlete comes to me at my workout on Saturday morning and says, hey, I'm running, but I don't have guides. Can you help me find some guides? I'm going to go to that spreadsheet and pull 2 guides off of that spreadsheet. So that is the way that if you're a guide and you want to guide, that's the way to do it.
Someone named Brian, his brother is pushing him. He has MS.
Can
we get an Achilles cart?
An Achilles cart? Oh, like that you're going to be pushed in?
I believe they're a duo team.
I don't really know about that, Brian, but you should email NYC and we'll discuss. I don't really know, but
thumbs up.
Yeah, email and we'll talk.
Brian, I'll send you the Achilles New York email address.
Yeah. It's a good question.
Yeah.
Cool. What else we got? Is that about it?
Yeah, I think that was all of them. Yeah.
All right, folks. This is the highlight. This is always a lot of fun. You never really know what's going to come up with these things, which is really cool. I think having the space to ask questions and kind of chat about things that is more than the 15 seconds of pulling someone aside at the workout in the park when there's like 100 people around. Obviously, it's valuable. So between now and next time, if you have any questions that pop up, email them in. We'll kind of go through all the questions that come in, pick a couple that I think would apply to everyone, and we'll kind of do like a deeper dive in those questions first, before obviously opening it up to Q&A. These Achilles Connect sessions are generally on the first Thursday of every month. In July, that would mean that it is July 4th, which is a Thursday. I'm going to be at the National Federation of the Blind National Convention that day, or those couple days. We're going to have an Achilles table. So by the by, if anyone here is going to that conference, or if anyone who knows anyone going to the conference, let me know. I don't know yet if I'm going to have a session then. So keep an eye out on your email and you'll hear about it. But regardless, hope to see y'all in the park soon. This has been really real. And
hold on, Francesco, don't log off yet. I'm trying to help someone.
Oh, all right. Everyone else can go, but whoever Catherine is trying to help.
I'm just, someone has never done guide training. They live in New York yet. So I'm sending them
Oh,
the
you should come.
directions that if she has an account, how to sign up. And if you don't have an account, Maria, I also put in just the Achilles website for New York City, and she's mouthing thank you. So
Absolutely.
yes. So hopefully you'll see
Maybe
her
you'll run
tomorrow.
with me. If you come to Central Park, you'll run with me.
Yeah.
So
she's throwing her arms in there, excited.
oh, so sorry in advance. We're the worst in Central Park, just saying.
All right, now you're allowed to wrap
Now
up.
I'm allowed to wrap up.
Typing done.
All right, I have a toast. Let's see how many people are on here.
Few people popped
All
up
right.
when we said goodbye. There's like 20, 15,
All right.
20 people on this.
I have a toast for you all.
Okay.
Grab your beverage of choice. This is the downside of staying to the end of these sessions is that you get to hear my corny outros. So I got my Costco Cobra, which by the way, I was saying at the beginning, kind of hit or miss if it tastes kind of like helium. This one tastes pretty good. When we slide down the banister of life together, may the splinters point in the same direction. Cheers.
Cheers.
Clink.
Yeah.
All right. See you later, folks. Have a great evening.
Bye.